Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. It's episode 5, series 3. Today's big topic of conversation is all about Whatnot UK and how this week it's descended into utter chaos, all through one change.
Hey, I'm Car Boot Chris. I'm a full-time UK online reseller. I operate mainly on eBay and also Whatnot, but also some other platforms as well. I'm going to bring you regular podcasts all about reselling, hopefully to keep you company, to entertain, or maybe to educate. Who knows? Welcome to the Everything Reselling podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you listening if you are listening back on one of our partner channels like Spotify, Apple Music, and Alexa and all that business. Thank you very much for being here. For those who don't know me, I'm Car Boot Chris. That's what they call me. I'm a full-time reseller. I operate mainly on eBay, but I also operate on Whatnot as well, and a couple of other platforms. And that is how I earn a living, a full-time living through various income streams, including eBay, Whatnot, and other reselling platforms. I buy stuff at boot sales, hence the name Car Boot Chris. I buy stuff online. I get things in retail arbitrage, wholesale, clothing, all kinds of stuff. And I also have a YouTube channel for those who don't know. Well, you do know because you're watching, but if you're not watching and you're listening back and you didn't know, I do have a YouTube as well, and that's called Cookie and the Haydens. And you can find me on YouTube as well. It'd be great if you want to join us for one of the live podcasts so that you can join in the chat and not just listen back. Anyway, welcome back. Now, today's main topic, and it's only a topic that we can talk about. We can talk about anything you like at all. If you've got any questions about anything reselling, then please put it in the chat and we will talk about it. Whatever you like, anything at all. But the main thing I wanted to chat about was this week. There was a big change with Whatnot UK. Well, I say big change. It shouldn't really have been a big change, but it's turned out to be a massive, big deal. If you buy or sell on Whatnot, you will have noticed this change this week. Basically, Whatnot have always operated their postage with Every and DPD. That's pretty much it, Every and DPD. And the good thing about Every and DPD is that it's pretty much based on weight rather than size of package. Yes, there are limits on size, but it's predominantly weight. Unless you're sending a bloody bike in the post or something huge, it's mostly about weight. So when you're selling on Whatnot, it's an easy calculation. You put in the weight of an item that you're selling, or you put in if you do like what I do and it's like a buyer chooses type auction, then you put in a general weight that will cover most items. So you kind of overestimate. Right. So that leads me on to Whatnot's change this week. They've decided to go with what they describe as a more reliable courier. And they've switched from Every and DPD to now just Royal Mail 48, which is a good service. A lot of us use it. It's a good service generally. And DPD is pretty much, I believe, only going to be used by Whatnot for international deliveries. It's possible that they're going to use them for big deliveries, with multiple items in. But as far as I'm aware, everything is now everything UK is going to be Royal Mail 48 via Whatnot. And now that presents a bit of a problem. Well, it shouldn't be a problem if you think if Whatnot's think tank had thought about it properly from the start, it wouldn't have been a major problem. Because whereas Every just operate with weights, basically. Yeah, you can send most size parcels, unless it's humongous, right? Royal Mail are a bit different. They operate with weights and sizes. So you got your large letter, which goes up to 750 grams. And then you've got your small parcel, which goes up to 2 kilos. And then you've got a medium parcel, which goes over 2 kilos. So this is a situation that Whatnot have not had to deal with because they've always dealt with Every, which is just weights. Very, very simple calculations to be made on the platform by their algorithms, whatever, when they work out all the bundles. It's very simple. It's just weight and that's it. So they changed to Royal Mail 48 this week, and they were. I mean, I'm a seller and a buyer on Whatnot. I've been on Whatnot since March 2023. So I'm just giving you an honest opinion here of what's gone on. Whatnot were woefully underprepared for what this change meant to a lot of sellers, and they did not create the listing process in the way it should have done. They missed out. Can you believe this? This week when they released it, big announcement. Oh, it's going to be very easy. All you got to do is X, Y, Z. And they missed out the ability to change a parcel size. I mean, talk about a schoolboy error. Royal Mail's all about parcel sizes and weights. You can't have one without the other. You know, you can have a plush toy. You can sell a plush toy that's this big. And for those listening, I'm saying like a meter, half a meter in size, 50 centimeters. You can send a plush that is 50 centimeters in size, but only weighs 500 grams. So what was happening on Whatnot this week was sellers were listing items by weight only. And what was happening was their labels were getting printed out by Whatnot. Completely wrong. So, for example, take that plush toy, 50 centimeters. So the seller would put in 500 grams on Whatnot, and that would create a postage price of £2.90, which we all know you can't sell. You can't send small or medium parcel for £2.90. So what the label was creating was 500 grams in Whatnot's algorithm equals large letter. so there was people selling big items on Whatnot, or even just small items that were that big, like the size of a small parcel, but for large letter. John Luke and Charlotte, I'm sure they won't mind me mentioning, sell on Whatnot. And John Luke put out a Instagram story, and he showed a big pile of parcels that he'd sold on Whatnot. I would say, just at a glance, every single one of them were bigger than a large letter. But because Whatnot had completely cocked up the algorithm by not including the ability to change parcel size, every single one of the labels had been printed out large letter. Why is my phone pinging? Every single label had gone large letter. It was mental. And I was scanning through all the sellers' shows, like loads of different shows this week. Some people had figured it out, but a lot of people hadn't. And a lot of people were selling things much bigger than large letter, but were going for large letter prices. I can only imagine it's been a complete mess, like for sellers this week. A horrible, horrible mess. I've not done a show this week, thankfully. I've been way too busy building my decking in the garden and getting ready to go away this weekend. But I'm glad I've not done one. But I have figured out a way around this. But by creating a general weight of 750 grams, and that would have then made sure that stuff went at small parcel instead of large letter. That's what I would have done if I would have been selling this week. But good news, I believe today, I just had a look before we came on air. I tried to list an item, and today Whatnot have appear to have fixed the issue. So it looks like the chaos has come to an end probably this weekend. It looks like when you list an item now, you can put both weight and size of parcel or size of item. I think they ask you to do the size of the item roughly, because apparently their clever algorithms will work out what size parcel it's going to go in when you start bundling items up, because that's the difficult part. It's like when you're selling multiple items of different sizes, the difficult thing is for the computer system, the algorithm, to work out what parcel size it's going to fit in, and sometimes that's going to be wrong. But as with it wasn't really an issue, but with Royal Mail, I can see lots of parcel size issues coming. Even with this fixed, I can still see lots of issues coming when people are bundling multiple items. It's going to be a problem. So that is the chaos that has been this week. I've seen buyers complaining because they're having to pay 80p more in postage. In the long run, if you bundle things when you're buying, it will be cheaper this way. So if you buy like 3-4 items from one seller in one show, it's going to work out cheaper than it did before. If you only buy one item, it's likely to be more expensive, unless it's large letter, a real large letter. So I've seen lots of sellers, lots of buyers kicking off about it. I mean, jeepers. People, as if people don't get things cheap enough on Whatnot, complaining about an extra 80p or whatever on the postage sort of baffles me a little bit. I don't care. I buy on Whatnot quite a lot. I don't care about an extra 80p. Who cares? And at the end of the day, it is a better service that you're paying for. You're going to get your item in 2 working days instead of like 3 to 5 working days with every. So it is a better service. And then I've seen sellers quit. I've seen sellers are quitting Whatnot based on this week's chaos. Multiple people saying they can't cope with the change. They, it's not worth their time trying to figure it out. And one thing that's really, I'll get to the chat in a minute, guys, but one thing that's really annoyed me, and I've had a bit of a ding-dong email conversation with Whatnot support this week. One thing that's really annoyed me, and it must have annoyed a lot of sellers who have a shop on Whatnot, because you can have a shop with buy it now items on there as well. And again, an example of Whatnot being completely unprepared for this change is there is no ability as a seller to bulk edit your shipping information on all your buy it now items. That is a nightmare. Like, on eBay, you can do a bulk edit on your listings, right? You can bulk edit on certain things on Whatnot, but they've not given us the ability to bulk edit shipping, which is absolutely crazy. I've got about 200 items so listed like in a buy it now, and I emailed Whatnot, and their response was, you can't bulk edit them. What you've got to do is either edit each one at a time, or delete all your items that you've spent hours listing and start again. So that really annoyed me. That really annoyed me. It's like, how difficult would it be to just add a bulk edit and let me select multiple items that are all the same size and weight, and let me edit all those in one go? That should not be difficult. They knew this change was coming, and they should have been prepared to help their sellers make those changes. Now, I can't be asked changing them at the moment. I'm in a bit of a standoff with Whatnot, and I'm like, I emailed them and said, I'm considering my position as a Whatnot seller. I'm probably not going to leave, because I'm not going to leave over something like this, because it's a change, and in the long run, we'll all get used to it, and it'll be absolutely fine. A lot of people don't like changes, but you just have to move with it. And if you don't move with it, then you lose out, don't you? So if you're considering leaving, don't leave. Just go with the flow, figure out the change and work it out. But it annoyed me that you can't bulk edit. I mean, if you're going to make a change like this on your platform, put things in place that are going to make it easier for us as sellers to do it, to sort it out. I've now got two choices. I've got to sit here for a couple of hours, probably wasting my time editing every single shipping profile on every listed item in my store, or I've got to delete everything and then re-upload it, re-photograph it, re-describe it, which obviously I'm not going to do that. That would be a stupid option to do. But they were the two options that Whatnot gave me. So there you go. Whatnot chaos this week. I've seen people kicking off about it. I've seen people really, really upset as well on Whatnot. Sellers really, really upset, getting really wound up about it. And buyers really being quite rude to sellers. And it's all not been very nice, to be honest with you. It's really not. I'm going to go back through the YouTube chat and just catch up on a few people. Welcome, everybody. I appreciate your being here for this podcast. If you're listening back, thank you very, very much. Let me know what you think about all this. I'm just reading through some of the chat. Yeah, I should actually be finishing my decking. As soon as this is finished, I'm going to go and finish my decking. By the way, for those listening back, it's Friday right now. It's Friday, 21st of June. This all pretty much kicked off a few days ago. And as of Friday, the 21st of June, I believe that the issue is fixed on Whatnot. As you list an item, it does give you the option now to put a size and a weight in. So it should be fixed. But as far as I'm aware, there's no edit to bulk. There's no ability to bulk edit your buy it now items unless Whatnot have identified that after people moaning about that as well. Because there's people on Whatnot who have thousands of buy it now items listed. I'm talking thousands. What are they supposed to do? Go through and edit one by one? Delete them all? I don't think so. That'd be like eBay asking you to delete all your items in your store and start again. It's like, no, I don't think so. George's Treasure Shed, welcome to you. George has said, I've seen a few people leave Whatnot. Yes, it's the Royal Mail thing. It's kicked off right royal this week. That could be the title, couldn't it? Whatnot has kicked off royally this week. I might change that actually after this show. I might change the title. So thanks for the inspiration, George. By gum. What a mess. Come on, Whatnot. If you're watching, what a mess. And enable the bulk edit on Buy It Nows. That's a simple thing that you've missed, and it's annoyed me and probably a lot more people than me. Jeff says DPD send out a lot of notifications. I like that from a delivery company. They do actually. And to be fair, in the UK, Royal Mail and Every are getting a lot better at that as well. I've had about 4 notifications today from Royal Mail saying I've got a delivery coming and it's been dropped and it's been left in the porch. It's XYZ. So I think that is good, actually. The communication from the delivery companies is getting better. Dan said, I've seen sellers on Whatnot in tears that their business might end. Yeah, Dan, I'm making a little bit light of it, but there are people on Whatnot who, it's a massive part of their business now. It's become big for a lot of people, and they rely on it. And of course, I don't want to go anywhere either because it's an income stream to my business that I don't want to lose. But it's a sad state of affairs that it's upset people like this. I won't name any sellers or buyers, but I've seen some horrible comments from buyers who are upset at the amount of postage being charged. I mean, get a grip, people. Get a grip. You're talking about a few extra pence if you're only buying one item, and if you're buying multiple items, you're going to save money on postage. Get a grip, people. You are getting cheap stuff on Whatnot, much cheaper than at a boot sale, much cheaper than at a charity shop, for crying out loud. And I've seen sellers, like Dan has said there, I've seen some sellers getting very, very upset about it all. people arguing amongst themselves. This Whatnot community has been disrupted this week by Whatnot themselves, by Whatnot not getting it right. And that's the sad thing about it, is it's generally a pretty nice community of people, buyers and sellers. But Whatnot have cocked up this week, and I'm pretty sure they're probably the first to admit that themselves. Married to reselling. Ouch, this sounds messy. Very messy. Yes, sales are the unexpected. Peter says, large letter, squeeze that big plush into an A4 jiffy. I know, yeah, I know. It's crazy, isn't it? Fluffy the Muffin says, has this put you off selling on Whatnot, Chris? No, not really, Fluffy Muffin. Things like this don't really put me off. I'm not going to walk over something like this, because you're basically cutting your nose off to spite your face, aren't you, if you do that? In my opinion, anyway, unless you've got a real valid reason to walk. But yes, it's been a bit chaotic this week. It's been more than a bit chaotic. Thankfully, I didn't have any shows planned in this week. I was going to do one, but when I saw it all going off, I thought, you know what? I might just leave it till next week when it's all calmed down a bit. I think that's probably the best thing to do if you're a bit confused about everything. Just wait till next week until it calms down. But no, I'll carry on Whatnot. Certainly for the time being, anyway. I've still got plenty of stock to sell. Have Whatnot fixed it? Yeah, it appears so. It appears that they've fixed the listing process now, so that you can actually put the correct sort of sizes in there, so that a 500 gram plush that is 50 centimeters, you can actually now give it the correct size, and you're not expected to get it in a large letter, which is what was happening. And you could see it when I was watching shows, Lisa. You could see it. You could see it going on. People were charging £2.90 for postage, and you know damn well that that's a large letter. That's a large letter fee or a charge. But what they were selling don't match large letter. So I'm thinking in my head, they're going to have a major headache when that show finishes, because they're going to have all these large letter things. They're either going to get a load of charges, because you can change parcel sizes after the show's finished, but you only get 5 changes for free on Whatnot. You can change 5 parcels for free. After that, you have to pay the difference as a seller. It's up to you as a seller to pay the difference. So I can imagine a lot of people having to pay a lot of money to change. Oh, it's all good fun, isn't it? Dan says, the positive for Whatnot sellers is people like myself will buy more items from Whatnot to make it worthwhile with postage costs. Just my thoughts. It's possible, Dan. Yeah, it's possible. It might encourage a bit more bundling. I think you're right there, actually, Dan. It might encourage you to bundle more, because that small parcel size will go up to 2 kilos. So potentially £3.59, I think it is, for a small parcel. You might be able to get several items in for that price. Yeah, Peter says, why doesn't it just let you choose parcel size rather than try and work it out if it's trying to be too clever? Yeah, at the start of all this, Whatnot sent emails out to us all saying that their algorithm was so clever it was going to work out the correct parcel size. Clearly, it's not that clever. The only way it could do that is if their AI technology was identifying that this is a remote control, therefore it can measure it on screen and decide that I've marked this remote control as 300 grams, and AI has decided that it'll fit in a large letter. That's the only way that system could work. It cannot possibly know. Maybe that's what they have. Maybe they have visual recognition that will work out the size of something that I'm holding on screen. It sounds a bit far-fetched to me, but it is the year 2024. Who knows? I don't know. Fluffy the Muffin says, I think people can't handle the absolute chaos. People can deal with well-managed changes. Yeah, totally Muffin. Totally Muffin, yeah. People don't like change at the best of times, yeah. We're all guilty of complaining about change. I mean, look at eBay. Every year they bring out something different, something new, something that we all have to adapt to. And every year when that change comes in, we all moan about it. We all fear the worst. We all think that eBay is going to go into meltdown when they make that change. And it doesn't. We all get used to it. And in a few weeks' time, it just becomes second nature again. Or any of the problems normally get ironed out. And that's what's happened here with Whatnot. Unfortunately, Whatnot made it more difficult for everybody by not having everything in place that they should have had in place when they did the change. They emailed us. They reassured us it was all going to be honky dory. Are we allowed to say that? I don't know. I apologize if not. But it wasn't. It was a mess. Dan said, "Did anything change with the Tilt app regarding postage?" I've not sold anything on Tilt for a while, but they've got their own policies, haven't they? So I don't know if they've changed. They'll go the same way using more Royal Mail stuff. But hi, welcome everybody. If you're joining the show, we are talking all about Whatnot. But if you've got something reselling that you would like to talk about, put it in the chat. Anything you like about reselling. This is, after all, the Everything Reselling podcast. So you can talk about anything you like. Drop it in the chat. I'll pick it up and we'll run with it. Maybe we've exhausted the Whatnot chaos, but if you've got anything else, drop it in. Oh, Peter said, here we go. Peter Parker. It only took me 20 minutes to edit 80 items, so it should take you an hour. Oh, that's not bad going, Peter. I've not attempted to change them yet. I was just in a bit of a battle of words with Whatnot. I just wanted them to know that it was stupid that they didn't give us a bulk edit tool, which would have meant that I could have edited 200 items in about a minute. Something so simple like that could have been put in place. And actually, once they'd have created such a tool, it would have been really useful in the future to have that bulk edit. Took me 20 minutes to edit 80 out. Well, that's not too bad. And I will get around to doing it if Whatnot are not going to help me. So I will get around to doing it, and we'll be back online again probably next week for another Whatnot show. Lisa says, why are buyers being rude to sellers? It's not exactly. It's not. But there was kind of like a war of words going on in different shows. It was happening. Some people thinking they were right, and then the sellers thinking they were right, and buyers thinking they were right, and everyone was right, and everyone else was wrong, and it was just kicking off. Peter says the main issue is that sellers haven't spent 20 minutes to read what was sent over as sellers and to understand it before going live since the change. Yeah, I think there was a little bit of that, Peter. There is a little bit of that, but I read it thoroughly, and even I had to sit down and test a few things in my Buy It Now shop to just figure out how I was going to sell something that was 100 grams but actually wasn't a large letter. So it did take me a bit of thinking power to do it. And if I'd have gone live this week, I would have been confident in setting items at the correct weights to get it through the system, because in reality you'd have had to have like not put actually the correct weights in order to get it through their broken system that they released. Yeah, because my shows are a little bit different, Peter. Apart from clothing, when I do like a wall, like for example, the tikis I have behind me, I do a wall and I let buyers choose what they want. So I never know which item a buyer is going to choose. So therefore, I have to put a blanket weight for every single item. So what I would have done this week is I would have listed like 100 blank items before it went live. I'd have just put 750 grams on each one. And what that would have meant was that every item would have started life in a small parcel at 750 grams, irrespective of what their actual weight was. And 3 items would have made it into a small parcel before it got upgraded to medium parcel by the system. So yeah, that's what I would have done this week. But in the end, I didn't bother doing a show. I just thought, let's allow Whatnot to fix this. Yeah, a bit of a nightmare for a lot of people. But I think to a certain degree, Peter is correct. I think people did go live to sell and weren't prepared for what was about to happen. They didn't test before they went live. I think that's a key thing. What I was doing, I was testing using my buy it now items to see what the thresholds were and to see, like, from a buyer point of view, like I was getting Bell's phone and logging in and having a look at what the postage was coming out at certain weights and stuff. So yeah, I think people went in a little bit unprepared as well. Um, Tap Peddler Derek says, just delete stuff from Whatnot and list it on eBay Gum. Problem solved. Oh, if only it was that easy, Derek. Sharon has tried eBay Gum, never sold anything. Has anybody in the chat sold something on eBay Gum? Please put your hand up and let us know in the chat. If you're watching right now, let me know if you sold something on that platform. We're all waiting for the first ever sale. Lisa says, I've not had any problems with DPD and Every when I've purchased on Whatnot. Just won't get my lovely Every guy anymore. No, to be honest with you, as a seller, I've sold a lot of stuff over the last year or so on Whatnot, and there's been minimal, very, very minimal problems. I think I might have had 1 parcel go missing or 2 parcels go missing in that time. And you're talking out of thousands, so a tiny, tiny percentage, which I'm sure will happen with Royal Mail as well. They're not immune to items going missing unbroken. But I think Whatnot obviously felt in general that they were employing a better service for Whatnot, and they're probably right. And maybe they make more money out of it as well. Maybe they are earning a bit. If they're charging a buyer £3.59 for the postage, maybe Royal Mail are not actually going to be charging Whatnot £3.59. I would expect that there'll be some earnings for Whatnot in there somewhere for the amount of postage that they're going to be putting through the system. Lisa says, how does it work if you order a lot of items? Will Royal Mail be willing to deliver a large parcel? Well, Lisa, Royal Mail, the Whatnot system will work out based on your weights and sizes, what kind of size box, and if you end up being upgraded to a medium size box, medium does go quite big. I think medium goes up to like 61 centimeters. So you'd have to be ordering quite a lot on Whatnot to get into a box like that, but it's not unheard of. I guess their algorithms will sort it out, Lisa. That's what it said on the email. So let's leave the algorithm. Maybe it'll end up going to DPD if it goes super big. I expect that's probably what will happen. Sharon said, I've worked for a few couriers in the last 20 years and DPD are the best out of the bunch. More expensive, though, if you go direct compared to others, but you get what you pay for. Yeah, that's fair enough, Shaz. I've always found DPD to be pretty good, actually. And like Jeff said earlier, they do have pretty good email communication, don't they? And if you're not going to be in, you can there's a lot you can do. You can rearrange your deliveries. And I know you can do that on some of the others, but it's quite user-friendly, isn't it? Jeff on YouTube says, FedEx and UPS are merging. A new combined company will be called Fed Up. Yes, Jeff, very good that. You've been sat there thinking about that, haven't you? What if you order more than 20 kilos? Well, you'll be going some if you order more than that. I'm guessing, I don't know. You can, at some point, if your bundle gets really big or heavy, you can split a bundle. As a seller, you can split up a bundle and give it 2 labels. Also, I reckon if a parcel gets really big, it's probably gonna go to DPD, I expect. Oh, thank you, Peter. Sales with the Unexpected has confirmed that Hunky Dory is okay. I wasn't sure because it's one of them. I don't know why I thought it wasn't okay. Helen has said Royal Mail are unreliable with collection. Often get an email at 8 p.m. saying unable to collect. Never had problems with Every or DPD. Yeah, that's interesting, Helen. I've not really heard of many issues, but I don't use the collection thing anyway because my drop off is literally around the corner. So at my local shop, I can do Royal Mail, Every, DPD, all at the same shop, which is brilliant. Chris Tyler says, I put 12. Oh, is this eBay gum, Chris? I put 12 items on 2 months ago, and all I've done is take 6 down as they sold on the eBay. Yeah, yeah. I wonder what is going on with eBay gum because he did say to me that he was going to come on the podcast and talk about the platform, but I've not heard back really from him. He delayed me initially because I said to him, "Look, when do you want to come on?" And he delayed me a bit and said, "Look, I'm not ready yet. I want to come on when I've got a product that's better than where it is now, obviously, or more ready to go." So when that'll be, I don't know, but I know he's been working on it for several years, hasn't he? Will it ever be ready? Will it ever be fit for purpose? I don't know. One day we might have a chat with Darren from eBaygum. Dan says, I'm new to eBay. What happens if a parcel goes missing that you sent? Well, you've got to open an investigation depending on who your parcel is sent with. There's different methods to go down. You may have to refund your buyer whilst you do it, depending on how long that takes. If it's with Every, you can be waiting 28 days before you get an answer. So yeah, you just have to make a claim. You make a claim, and in the meantime, more often than not, you're going to have to refund your customer whilst you make that claim. That's generally what happens. Medium parcel 61 46 46. Yeah, so that's a pretty big size. 61 46 46. Yeah, so that's going to be a lot of bundles, a lot of items on whatnot. If you've got a parcel bigger than 61 46 46, maybe it would default to DPD if that was the case. Tap Peddler said they've launched a new app for eBaygum. I did have a look at it, Derek, but there's very little on there to kind of search, and I still think the search function on eBaygum is broken because if you search, a certain item, you end up with completely unrelated items coming up in search. Whereas like on eBay, when you search on eBay, first of all, it'll give you the items that match your keyword search, and then it'll have like a bit of a line, a gap, and then it'll have all the items that are close to your search. But it doesn't seem to do that on eBaygum. You just get everything and loads of unrelated items. Where that is a good thing with eBay. Like on eBay, if nothing hits your search perfectly, like keyword wise, it'll say there is no results, and then it'll give you a load of stuff that's close to it. And I think that's quite good. Bloody hell, we're praising eBay here. We're praising eBay for once, for having something half decent that works. Put any questions or comments in the chat, guys and girls. Anything reselling you want to talk about, we're here to chat. hopefully Whatnot has fixed itself now, and everything will be honky-dory or hunky-dory. Tap Peddler Derek said, I've just searched parcel tape on eBay Go. Showed tape, but then Renault Megane parcel shelves. That's what I'm talking about. It doesn't make no sense. I mean, parcel is the word that it's picked up on, hasn't it? But what it should do in that situation, Derek, is like eBay gives you your parcel tape first, and then it says end of results or something, or a gap, and then it'll say similar results, Renault Megane parcel shelf, and then you can decide if it's, you know, relevant or not to what you've searched for in the first place. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if eBay gum. I just think, I mean, the name is humorous, isn't it? But I just wonder if it's a bit too much of a gimmicky name. I don't know. It's a very gimmicky name, isn't it? They had a whole like lawsuit going on with eBay at one point, didn't they? Where, you know, eBay wanted them to change the name or something, and I don't know. Did eBay? I assume eBay gum won that case because obviously they've still got the name. Dan says, in your early days, what was the one thing that made your sales rise quickly? I'll tell you, Dan, the one thing I remember when I turned on best offer, things just went through the roof. But I think nowadays, almost everybody has best offer activated on their listings now. I mean, Dan, do you have best offer on? I know it's something obvious that the majority of people listening and watching will already do, but there are some well-known YouTubers that I've watched who actually do not have best offer turned on. They opt not to have it. But I remember when they released what best offer, I turned it on all my listings, and bang, I had so many sales in a short amount of time. I mean, people sending in offers, me sending offers out. Or did it just come offers in first and then offers out later on? I can't remember how it came, but I remember when I turned on that best offer, loads of sales came in. And yeah, that's what I would do, is be very, very open to offers. Of course, it depends a lot in like what kind of profit margins you're acting on. Like if you've got very small profit margins, it's much more difficult to deal with offers. But if your profit margins are good, if you're buying something for £1 and selling it for £20, £30, then you can afford to have offers on. If you're buying something for £1 but selling it for £5, it's much more difficult to deal with offers. So that's what I would say anyway. Brian Harris says, just joined the stream, so I don't know what's been said as yet, but the change in postage has made me think twice on swiping on a bargain or 5 because of £3.59. If I only buy one thing to resell. Well, we have talked about it already, Brian. You feel free to watch or listen back, but £3.59 is only really a little bit more expensive than before. And if you're only buying one item, if you're buying multiple items, it actually gets cheaper for you than it did before. So I think when you get to 2, 3, 4 items, you're paying considerably less than what you would have done on the old system. The other thing that I mentioned was that there was buyers getting quite upset about paying £3.59 instead of £2.70, was it before? On every £2.70, I think. People getting upset about it, but there's people getting stuff so cheap on Whatnot. But getting upset about paying an extra 80p for postage. I just found that a little bit like not really in perspective, you know? People getting stuff for £2 and then moaning about paying an extra 80p. It didn't feel right to me. I saw a lot of it this week. I felt it was a little bit unfair. A lot of the criticism was being directed at sellers, and that was really unfair because this is something that's been put on us by Whatnot. We had no choice but to charge the £3.59 because the level below 359 is £2.90, and that's only for large letter. So there's not much other than like very small things, like, you know, it's all right if you're doing Pokemon cards or whatever. That's fine. You could get a bloody 100 of them in a large letter, but for everything else, there's not much going large letter. So pretty much 359 is going to be the charge. But also, Brian, what you're not considering there is that you're actually getting your items quicker, and it's a better service. So Royal Mail 48 is a better service than Every. That's a fact. You might not have had problems with Every, but Royal Mail 48 is a 2-day service, a 2-day delivery. So I'm guessing, I think it's worth the 80p probably. I think it's a bit harsh. Sort of be willing to snipe something for £1, but then you don't want to pay the extra. I'm not saying you directly, Brian, but this is a lot of people this week, like not wanting to pay the extra 80p. I think it'll settle down. People will get used to it being 359 to start with, and then people realize that they can bundle more for the same price, and I think that's what will happen. Dan said, been selling on eBay for 6 weeks. Will I be charged for best offer? You don't get charged for adding best offer to your listings. No, it's a free service. But obviously, if someone sends you an offer or you send an offer out, then you know that's up to you. You'll lose whatever your offer is below your asking price. But no, there's no charge like there's a charge to put like a subtitle on your listing. That's an extra fee. Best offer is not a fee related item. Brum Reseller, John's in the house. John, Brum Reseller on YouTube says Whatnot's been pretty glitchy. Customers couldn't collect in store, had to pay postage. Ooh, I've not heard that one, John. Interesting. That's one complaint that I've not heard about. Customers couldn't collect in store. Right. Nope, not heard that one. That is new to me. Dan said, I will still use Whatnot. An extra 80p isn't much when we're still buying designer clothes and foot. Exactly, Dan, exactly. For £1 to £10, you're still double or trebling your money on it. Exactly, Dan. That's totally the point. And you're getting a better delivery service as well. So you're paying a little bit extra for a better delivery service. Don't worry about the 80p. Go and support people. Go and support sellers who you've had some great bargains from. And don't worry about the 80p because it's not their fault. But still keep supporting people selling things. I bet loads of people have sniped things for like £1, £2, got a great deal. I know people have had great deals off me. Yeah, don't stop supporting them because they've given you some great deals in the past. So yeah, stick with it. Don't worry about the 80p. You're getting a better service. That's the way I look at it. That's when I put on like a sensible, logical hat on. That's the way I think about it. So that's what you got to do. You got to be logical about it. And yeah, it impacts a little bit if you're only buying one item, but in the grand scheme of things, 80p, is it really worth complaining about? I don't think so. Any questions, comments, drop them in the chat. We are running at 48 minutes on the podcast so far. We've got about another 10, 15 minutes to go. And then we'll call it a day for this episode. How's eBay been this week for people? For me, I would say eBay has been like the eBay roller coaster that it always is. 2 days ago, I had 2 big ticket items sell. I sold a Mood U2 camera for £130. And what's the other thing? I sold a pair of brand new Nike Air Jordan's Day of the Dead edition for like 80 or something like that. That was on one day, and then the next day went very quiet. And then a few days prior to that, I had a good day. It's such a roller coaster. You never know what's going to happen next on eBay. It's like you never know when your next big day is going to be or your next crappy day is going to be. that is why you should always not worry too much about daily fluctuations on eBay, because it's just the roller coaster that it is. Keep an eye on your monthly, month to month sales. Like at the end of the month, how much have you earned on eBay? That's what you need to be looking at. Not daily, and probably not weekly either, because weekly can be the same. Like payday, I don't believe in payday week, but a lot of people do. Weekly, you could have a couple of weeks of good weather. You can payday week. You can have all kinds of things going on in the world that can affect a weekly amount of sales. So stick with it and have a look at how it's gone during the month, and then have a look at, compare it to the next month, or compare it to the year before, and see how your Januaries compare, or see how your Junes compare to the previous year. That's what you need to be doing, and try not to really focus on daily sales amounts, because it does drive you nuts looking at daily sales all the time, because you're like, oh, what's happened today? I've had no sales. I've had a no sales day. You can have lots of no sales days in a month and still have a good month. That's the thing. Dan says, I've 2 items this week where the buyer was a couple of streets away from me but decided on postage instead. Is that normal? Yeah, I've had it as well. Not maybe 2 streets away, but I've had people in the same town sort of opt for postage instead. But yeah, it is a bit strange. It's like, why wouldn't you go to collect? Well, the thing is, if you offer free postage like I do, it's no skin off their nose, is it? It's like, well, it's me that's having to pay for it. So if they come in and collect it, it save me like £3. But because it's free postage, people just think, oh, you know what? You might as well just post it. It'll save me the petrol coming getting it. That's the way it is, isn't it? Lisa said she's had a rubbish last 2 weeks. Don't know what's going on. Yeah. I hope it improves, Lisa. Hopefully, you just keep plugging on. Like we always say, just keep listing. Keep on listing. Keep on swimming. Keep on swimming. Just keep going. It'll come back. Yeah, and refresh some of your older stuff. Have a look at your older listings. What's your oldest listing that you've got on eBay? Is there any price changes you can do? Can you reduce some of your prices a bit and get things moving? You got to keep that cash flow going, haven't you? Luckily, Lisa said she's had sales on Depop and Vinted. Bloody hell, Lisa, you've had sales on Depop. Wow, you are flying. Sales on Depop. I'm saying that, but I don't sell on Depop anymore. I've actually gone as far as I've deleted the app. I've deleted the Depop app because I was a seller on there. I sold very little, and I never bought anything on Depop. Does anybody buy on Depop and resell? Excuse me. Does anyone buy and resell from Depop? Because I never found a single thing on Depop. Like even on eBay, you can find things to buy on eBay and flip even back on eBay. But with Depop, I just never found anything on Depop to flip. It always seemed to be like top prices. Has anyone ever bought and sold from Depop? Dan's used to roller coasters living in Blackpool. Limelight Vinci said, anyone been selling England shirts? I sold an England shirt last week. It was an unusual one, actually. It was a retro England shirt from about 20 years ago, but it was a vest version. I'd never seen it before. Like sleeveless England shirt. I never seen one of them before. But yeah, I sold that last week. I've got loads of England shirts, just in my own personal collection. I must have at least 20 old England shirts. And I actually debated before the Euro started, shall I just list them and sell them? Because I don't really wear them anymore. Like, even now, the Euros are on. I've not even dug them out and put them on. It's like, it seems dead, the Euros this year. It's like there's no hype. There's no excitement. I feel like we're not even in it. Like in previous tournaments, I'd have had my England shirt on all week and that, while the games are playing and stuff. There's no hype anymore. My England shirts have stayed in the box, and I've got loads. So you know what? I'm thinking the next tournament when it comes round, I'm going to get rid of my own England shirts because I must have at least 20, and they all date back to early 2000s. I might even have some 90s ones as well, like originals, not even like the retro versions. Matt Sells Stuff has sold a load of England shirts. Yeah, Tap Peddler's got a good point there. Some people might not even notice how close they are to you. Tap Peddler doesn't look when buying either. So, yeah, that's a good point. Chris Tyler said, would it be easier for Whatnot to offer free postage and the seller decides the price in item cost? What you mean the seller include the postage cost in the cost of the items? So, like if I was going to start something at £1, started at £4 because the postage is included. Is that what you mean, Chris? I'm not sure that would work because of the auction nature and the fact that a lot of stuff goes cheap on Whatnot. Like you got to be prepared sometimes to let stuff go really cheap. I'm not sure the free postage thing would work for us because we would actually have to start things at £4 or £5 to cover the postage. So I don't know if that'd work. I know it's broad as it is long, Chris. I mean, the buyer pays for it in the end, but yeah, it would stop the ability of starting stuff for £1, I guess. Ian G's in pre-internet. Is that pre-internet? Pre-internet, yes. Reselling was the domain of mainly junk shops and dealers with a shady lifestyle. Now reselling is so much more professional. Does anyone think it's time for a professional association? That's a good question, that, Ian. Yeah, I like that. I think we should have one. And also, it would be nice when we're filling in forms for there to be a reseller profession. Just as a you do your car insurance, you do your house insurance, you do an application for credit, you do anything on the internet where you've got to put in what your job is and what your sector is that you work in. There's never one that fits. I always end up choosing shopkeeper retail. That's what I end up and it's not really right. It's kind of right, but it's not right. There isn't even online business, online retail or anything. There's not even that. And I think you're right there, Ian, because if we had this professional recognition as an association, maybe it would be more prevalent in the things like that, in forms and stuff, like you're doing your car insurance. There's nowhere to put that you're a reseller. Tap Peddler says, I have delivered myself before. What I do is I buy every postage, so I get a label, and then I cancel it, and then deliver it myself with the every label attached. Avoids possible scams and no hassle drop. Wow, you've thought about that, Derek. That is good. I like that. That's such a good idea. Attach the label, deliver it yourself, and then then you can cancel the label. It's genius. How have I never thought of that? I've had a few local here. I could have done that. Oh, you know what, Derek? That's very clever. That did you come up with that yourself? I'm impressed if that is the case. I'm very impressed with that one. Lisa sold some England shorts and a quarter zip training top. Yeah, Dan says John Luke suggested an app where you list on different platforms. There's a few different apps that do it. There's one that's built into your browser. I think that's the one that John Luke's been talking about. And also there is Zip Sale as well. There's a few different ones that you can do it on. Limelight Vinci said, I think I've seen one car with flags on. That's it. Maybe excitement will improve if they get through the next round. Yeah, it's a big if, though, isn't it? I think we will get through to the next round. with the talent that we have, even though they're not playing well, we do have talented players. So I think that's the only thing that's keeping us going at the moment is the fact that we have talented players, even though we're not playing well as a team. We're still good enough to beat the majority of teams. But famous last words, touch wood, we're okay. We'll get through the next round. But when we start playing good teams, then we might struggle. Tap Peddler says, is it your age, Chris? Not bothering with England celebrating, i.e. not going to pub to watch, etc. when years gone back in the old days you may have done. I never really did the pub thing anyway. I've never really been like a pub goer anyway, for most of my life. Maybe when I was younger, with friends and stuff, but yeah, never really done England at the pub that much. 1 or 2 times maybe. But it could be an age thing, it could be. I'm just not inspired by it this year at all. You know what? I think it is. Southgate just doesn't inspire you, does he? Doesn't inspire you with enthusiasm. Some managers, give you that enthusiasm, and we've got such a talented squad. We've got so many attacking players that are world-class players, and yet, what are we doing? We're playing a defensive game of football against Serbia and Denmark. I mean, we should be going out there and blasting it and playing to our strengths. We don't play to our strengths. Look at the players we've got. They're not playing like they should do, and that's a directive from the manager, isn't it? He's shackling them. Don't shackle them. Dan said, 2026 World Cup is in America, Canada, and Mexico. I don't have any plans, Dan. No, tickets are too expensive. I would begrudge paying hundreds of pounds for a ticket. But isn't that silly anyway? World Cup, America, Canada, Mexico. It's like the distance of half the world. It's like it might as well have been called the World Cup, and location is in the world. It's pointless, that is. America, Canada, and Mexico. That's freaking miles away. You can go halfway around the world in that time. I wonder if one day we'll have a World Cup that's just going to be, one game's in Japan, then the next game's in China, then the next game's in Europe, then the next game's in America. Might as well do that. Stupid. Stupid idea, that. It takes the theme away. Like if it was World Cup Mexico, it'd all have this sort of South American, Latin, Mexican feel to it, and they'd put their stamp on it. It's going to be Canadian and American as well. It just makes no sense to me, that. Jeff's got a suggestion. The Worldwide Association of Resellers. Or the BRA. The British Reseller Association. Nice one, Jeff. I like those. I'm just looking through the chat before we finish for today. Thank you everyone for all your comments and chat. And if you're listening on one of the podcast channels, I appreciate you being here. Don't forget to hit that download button, and you'll get the podcast downloaded to your device for free, no cost. It's always that download. It's the number of downloads that affect my scores on podcasts, like my ratings on the podcast. You can review me if you like. That would be great if you can give me a 5-star review. But the number of downloads is really important for me. So if you want to hit the download button, that'd be great. Dan says, I'm going to Germany next week, mainly for the fan zones, but also to pick up some bargains to come back. Oh, interesting, Dan. Let us know how you get on. Yeah, it'd be nice to hang out in the fan zones. That'd be good. England might not be in it by then, though, if we lose the next game. we will call it a day. Thank you, everybody. I think we've exhausted the topic of Whatnot and the chaos that ensued this week. Fingers crossed. Keep all your fingers crossed. If you sell on Whatnot or if you buy on Whatnot, let's hope they've sorted it out for the better, because it was chaos. A lot of people were upset, buyers and sellers, and some people have walked. Some people have left the platform from both those backgrounds, and that's really sad. That's sad to hear. Yeah, so hopefully they fixed it. Thank you to everybody who's popped along on YouTube for this live. If you're listening now and you'd like to take part in the live chat as you hear it, come over to our YouTube channel. It's called Cookie and the Haydens. You can search it on YouTube, or I'll put a link in the podcast description below. Just click that link, come and subscribe, come and join the channel. And then next week, when we have a podcast, you'll be able to join in the chat, ask some questions, put up some discussion points, and that'll be fun. That'll be more fun than just listening back. I really do appreciate everybody who's come this afternoon and joined in the podcast. Thanks again. We'll see you on the next one. Don't forget, there's no Monday night show next week. We are away, and we'll be back a week on Monday, but we'll probably have a podcast before that. So basically what I'm saying is we'll see you on the next podcast. Take care.
That's it for today's episode of the Everything Reselling podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, to follow, or to subscribe wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you on the next episode.